Hi, it's Pip Mackay here, and it's day 8 of my 40-day quest to write my book. And this is actually the third video that I have created for you today for my video blog, none of which I liked very much. So back to the drawing board. What's going on for me at the moment in terms of the hero's journey, which I'm looking at how my quest to write the book follows the hero's journey. And I'm on the road of tests and trials. And yesterday I talked about meeting the goddess, and that she helps you through the road of tests and trials. So in something like Lord of the Rings, meeting the goddess is meeting Galadriel in the woods. She's the fairy. Cate Blanchett plays her in the woods. And they go there after they've had the big test and trial of Gandalf falling down with the bell rock and dying, or what they think is dying. And then they end up in the woods being nurtured by her and getting resources. He gets a light that will help him and shine in his darkest hour. Frodo does, and so on and so forth. But that's obviously not the end of the road of tests and trials. So the road of tests and trials and meeting the goddess tends to be a little bit cyclic. And meeting the goddess doesn't have to be an actual person. It can be just creativity, or it can be something where you nurture yourself, or it can be a person, male or female, who provides that role for you, as I was saying yesterday. So today, the trial that I have been facing is just about, well, what is my book actually about, and how am I going to explain archetypes in a way that people can understand? And it's a little bit tricky for me because who is going to be reading the book? And, unlike niching a website or something like that, a book I'm hoping is going to be widely read. So there's going to be people who know nothing about archetypes. There's going to be people who've read like Carolyn Meese's work on archetypes, or Jung, or other people. And so how am I going to explain what my take on archetypes is and what happens? So I figured that I would just start with, what is an archetype, and go back to the original meaning of the word. So arc means first or best, and type means form or symbol. Now, symbols are the way that we make meaning out of our world, and this is really, really important and something I want to get across. So, for instance, what people don't understand is what things symbolize to us derives all of our behavior. So, for instance, today I went and got a massage, because getting a massage symbolizes nurturing myself, and then it symbolizes blood flow to my brain so I can think more clearly, and it symbolizes me being supported. Where for somebody else, getting a massage might mean being touched by a stranger, and that might be uncomfortable or feel unsafe. So we can see what a massage symbolizes to me drives my behavior forward. Obviously, if it symbolizes nurture, I'm more likely to do it and spend my money on it. If it symbolizes feeling uncomfortable, obviously I'm not going to. So symbol is the way our unconscious mind makes meaning out of everything that happens to us, everything that we do. So what that means is that who we are and how we are identified is actually a symbol for us. And if we can understand that meaning of our identity and what our core identity is, obviously it makes it easier to make decisions, because we know what decisions are going to support our identity. It makes it easier to obviously find our passion and purpose and bring our passion and purpose into whatever we do. And so what I'm postulating is that we all have a symbolic or archetypal identity. And that when we know that, it helps us make meaning out of our lives, and helps us make decisions, and helps us brand, helps us in business, helps us in every single way possible, because we now understand what our life means, why we're here, what we're doing. And even though some of those questions like why am I here, who am I, are sometimes seen in our scientific world as being a little bit cliche, or what's the point of asking that question? In actual fact, because our unconscious mind speaks in the language of symbols, and because our unconscious mind is 96% of our mind's capacity, it drives all of our behavior. So if we can understand what our identity is, and if we can express the best of that identity rather than the worst of that identity, then we're really going to make a very big difference to our lives. So my meaning comes from Plato. There was that quick slide there, but I just want to briefly outline the 8 archetypes of identity, or the 8 archetypes of passion and purpose. So there is the innocent adventurer. That's people who freedom is the most important thing, and they like to explore and just go on adventures. Then there's the magician. These are people who like to transform things, one thing into another, and be a catalyst for change. Then there's the oracle, or the high priestess, and they're people who like secret, mysteries, magic in a secret way. The magician likes magic in a way that allows you to see that magic happening and transform, whereas the high priestess likes to hide that away and look at the mysteries of life. The empress, or the creative nurturer, likes to be creative and artistic, and also likes to nurture people, like the universal mother. Then I'm going to talk about the emperor next. The emperor likes things to be ordered and structured, likes to be the ruler in control. Then the sage likes to follow intuition, to study, to really get into things. Sometimes these people are very technological orientated, whereas they like to know every single thing about a piece of technology. The lovers, what's important to them is intimate relationships and connection. And then the knight wants to manifest and set goals and go out into the world. So these are the 8 archetypes of identity. If you've studied any Carolyn Meese's work, you'll find that there's hundreds of what she calls archetypes. But that comes from a very different tradition. And from the work that I've studied, all of the archetypes can sit under these 8. So, for example, you might have heard the artist as an archetype, or the caregiver. Well, that's all under the creative nurturer, or the empress, or the universal mother. That's all really the same archetype, because it's all about the giving birth and what it means to be a mother. Giving birth is a creative process. You're creating something, you're nurturing it inside your body, then you're nurturing when it comes outside of your body. So we can see that all of those archetypes really sit under this one kind of meta archetype, if you like. And that's the same for all of the others. In Carolyn Meese's work, she talks about the child, the wounded child. She talks about the magical child and the nature child. Well, basically, that's all the innocent adventurer, because it is the archetype of child. So the archetype is child. Then a wounded child is the child in shadow, or the victim is the child in shadow, whereas the magical child, or the nature child, is a subsection of the child, or a subtype. So what I'm wanting to do with these 8 archetypes of identify is codify these archetypes further, so that it becomes easier to understand. You know, here's the innocent adventurer, and underneath that are sub-archetypes like child, adventurer, pioneer, innocent, etc. So these are all subtypes under this major archetype. And that way, rather than describing hundreds and hundreds of archetypes, we can describe the major types, and then we can further sectionalize those types underneath. And this clarifies our thinking and makes it much easier for us to understand and recognize patterns. Now, each one of these archetypes, people face different problems, but they also have a different passion and purpose. And when we can understand your archetype, it becomes easier to understand the patterns of passion and purpose in your life. And therefore, for you to be able to understand what the purpose of your life is, and to pursue that, and to bring passion into more of what you do. So that's really what my book is about. So I hope that makes sense. And feel free to comment on, whether there's any further clarification you want on what archetypes are, or any subsections you want in these sections. So today I've written 2,500 words on the magician. So I'm really getting into each of the chapters now and looking at those chapters. Okay, I'll speak with you soon. Bye. Speak with you tomorrow about the magician.